Hey Film Buffs, welcome back to Film Feature 43. Today, in honor of the spooky season, I decided to do a commentary video. Haven't done one since the Santa Claus back in December, so I decided to pick the spookiest and best movie based on a Disney theme park ride that wasn't Pirates of the Caribbean, or a Haunted Mansion, or the 2000s classic The Country Bears. No, I wanted something a little bit more modern and up-to-date. And what could be more modern and up-to-date than the 1997 made-for-TV movie Tower of Terror that is based on a ride that doesn't exist anymore, and you can't watch on Disney+. You gotta watch it on YouTube, where I did. You know, modern and up-to-date. So I think it goes without saying there are going to be spoilers in this commentary if you haven't seen the movie. Keep that in mind. And with that out of the way, let's get into it. So straight away we jump into this party at the Hollywood Hotel in 1939, and for everything I'm going to rag on this movie about, the set design and how they jumped right into the action in this first scene was actually really well done, so golf clap for them. And in the Hollywood Hotel there's an elevator, and in that elevator is Jan from The Office, and Howard Stark, and Shirley Temple, Nanny McPhee, and Esteban the bellhop. And they're all making their way to the tippy-top floor to the party that's going on. And on their way, floor 11, the elevator gets hit by lightning, and they all disappear. Spooky. Cut to modern day 1997, and our third favorite man with a baby is a photographer slash writer for a tabloid magazine, and he makes his money by taking fake pictures of alien dissections and Bigfoot weddings and
talking dog possessed by spirit of Mr. Ed, frozen ghost found in freezer,
and all that kind of stuff. When this happens,
don't even think about it.
I didn't know anybody was in there.
How do you think she moved, Olivier?
So he was trying to murder his niece there, right? Like, if she wouldn't have stopped the idiot with the saw blade, it would have killed her, right? Like, he could have killed the second best MJ we've gotten in any Spider-Man movie because he decided to give a real saw to a guy who thought he was playing a doctor, cutting open an alien that had his niece dressed in it. Like, if that's not attempted homicide, I don't know what is. All child abuse aside, we see Buzzy coming home from trying to get his job back at the legitimate newspaper that he used to work for, that his girlfriend's actually the head of. And I completely forgot that our main character's name is Buzzy Crocker, which is a pretty accurate name for a tabloid journalist, I guess, so spot on for that. But we see Buzzy coming home, and when he gets home, there is an elderly woman waiting for him inside of his apartment. And instead of being freaked out about how the stranger got into his house, or inquisitive about how a 70-plus-year-old woman broke into his house, we brush over all the breaking and entering, and we find out that the old woman's name is Abigail, and she was a child present in 1939 when all the lightning elevator disappearance stuff happened. And the reason that it happened was the nanny of Sally Shine, who was the little girl who looked like Shirley Temple,
was indeed a witch. It was her black magic that made Sally and the others disappear.
Including the witch nanny herself.
Not a great plan.
Well, Buzzy, he's not buying it for about 5 seconds, until the old lady pulls out a key and says that she saw the nanny doing her witchcraft in the basement, and the key that the old lady has is a key to said basement. That raises a few questions. Specifically, how bad of a journalist is Buzzy? I mean, we find out that the reason he lost his job from the legitimate newspaper is because he ran a story that didn't actually happen, but he doesn't have any questions for this elderly woman. Like, the fact that when all this voodoo magic disappearance stuff happened, she was a child, and somehow she got a key to the hotel. Like, there was an adult that worked at the hotel that gave her said key. Who would do that? The basement in a hotel is probably the most dangerous room, aside from room 217, in the entire hotel. So why would somebody give a child that key? And even if she stole the key, wouldn't that be something that you think Buzzy would ask about, like how she acquired said key? And even if she did have a valid reason for having a key, 5 people disappeared. potentially dead, and there was never an investigation looking for remains or survivors in the basement of the hotel. One of the people who disappeared was described in this movie as the best child star ever, and the other one was a bellhop who was the son of the owner of the hotel, and the police never checked the basement for any remains or survivors. That doesn't make any sense. They jiggled the handle and it was locked, and they're like, nothing to see here. That doesn't make any sense. They would have found the witchcraft book when they did that in 1939, but apparently the police suck at the Hollywood Hotel. So without asking any more questions, Buzzy goes to the hotel by himself, into the basement, where he finds the witchcraft book, and a bunch of spooky stuff happens, including almost being stabbed at the hand, and instead of running away and never coming back, he decides to put his niece into more harm's way by taking her and some unknown actress that he doesn't even know to the hotel. So Buzzy starts flirting with the actress he just met the day before in the garden of the hotel, which upsets his niece, to go into the haunted murder witchcraft hotel all by herself, which was the same haunted murder witchcraft hotel that she ran screaming from the day before because it was so scary. So I guess the fact that her uncle's flirting with a woman that he just met gives her the bravery to face down the ghost in the hotel, which she does. The ghost tries to scare her away. It doesn't work, and we find out actually that the nanny loves Sally, isn't a bad woman, and isn't a witch. But on a side quest with Buzzy's ex-girlfriend, we find out that Abigail and Sally are sisters. Abigail has been in the nut house for the last 40 years, and has a footlocker at the end of her bed full of hate letters and a decapitated doll head directed towards Sally. And, oh yeah, she's a witch. And the fact that our two main characters are a journalist and the head of a newspaper, it blows my mind that nobody figured out the connection between Sally and Abigail before now. Sally was described as the biggest child star in the history of the world, and nobody knew that she had a sister or what her real last name was. And if somebody did know her name, they didn't make the connection that the woman who keeps breaking into people's houses and the girl who disappeared 60 years ago have the same last name. They must be related. And Buzzy should know that Abigail's a witch because she said,
Oh, yes, it's the one night that I could use this book to break the spell and release those poor souls.
So like a seance, huh?
No, a conjuring. But we would need items from each of the victims to undo the curse.
Doesn't make a lot of sense that two people in the field of journalism can't put these puzzle pieces together. And they still don't put the puzzle pieces together after they find out that the nanny's good and Abigail clearly hates Sally for some reason. I don't understand how they don't know this, but they don't. And we find out that the only way to save the ghost is to get the elevator to the top floor while the party's going on Halloween. And speaking of elevators not going all the way to the top floor, Abigail is in the basement of the hotel casting a spell to crash the elevator to, I guess, kill the ghost for a second time. We then find out that it's all been a big misunderstanding, and the party back in 1939 was a birthday party for Abigail.
Sorry for what?
For not getting to her birthday party.
My birthday.
It was a surprise.
Whoa, the party was for Abigail.
Which she didn't know was her birthday party, but can you blame her? I mean, parties for 10-year-olds in the 1930s must have been crazy for the fact that the only thing that was there were a bunch of adults drinking cocktails, a cocktail singer, and no decorations, no other kids. It's been a pretty boring party, and I can see why she didn't know it was her birthday party, but there's still a backstory somewhere that they're not telling us for the fact that one missed birthday party I don't think equates to a sister trying to murder another sister and 4 other people. I think there's something that they're not telling us. But all in all, sisterly love saves the day, and the old lady disintegrates and comes back as her 10-year-old self, which either means she was a ghost the whole time, or her body literally disintegrated in front of everybody and nobody thought that was weird. I'm not sure what happened, but Abigail still murdered 5 people, right? Like, she trapped their souls in the hotel for 60 years, and there's no consequences for that, those people didn't get to live their lives. But that also gets brushed over. And the hotel opens back up with a headline that says that the mystery was solved in a newspaper. But the mystery couldn't have been solved. Did they run an article about witchcraft and ghosts and getting an elevator to the top floor and all that jazz, and a legitimate newspaper ran that article and people took it seriously? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And why is the nursing home not looking for the old woman who disappeared from their facility, or at least asking questions to the woman who came into the facility asking about the elderly woman that disappeared and rifling through her stuff? There seems to be some plot holes. I think we need a prequel or sequel to explain some of this stuff. But that's where the movie ends. I hope you guys like my commentary. Consider subscribing, and as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.